The Colour Out of Space, directed by Richard Stanley, starring Nick Cage or Nicolas Cage, Jolie Richardson, Corianka Kilcher, along with Tommy Chong and others. This film is utterly amazing. I really loved this film from start to finish. Now, this is the first in a planned Lovecraft universe, and this is based on and adapted the short story of The Colour Out of Space by H.P. Lovecraft. This is really a masterpiece for many levels. Now, we'll discuss non-spoilers, and depending on how long we go with this, I will just do another spoiler video, spoiler review. But let's kind of touch on the original story of A Colour Out of Space, because this is an adaptation. It's not a clear-cut, direct shot-for-shot adaptation. There are some liberties, but the liberties are not done in a way which shake or ruin the adaptation in any way, shape or form. They serve the story and the adapted work in the best possible way. Now, the original short story, and it is a short story, is basically featuring an unnamed surveyor from Boston telling a story from a first-person perspective about a situation that happened in the fictional place of Arkham. Now, what happened was basically a bunch of radiation, something came from space, so on and so forth, stuff happened. And he's retelling the story and trying to come through the other side so he understands exactly what has happened. Now, this movie is a return to form by Richard Stanley. Like, Richard Stanley's not done any work for a very long time, and it is an absolute travesty that he hasn't. I'm so upset that this film has not been given a wide release. You can actually catch it in the UK on the 28th of February at some showcase cinemas, I think it is. Just Google it and take a look. And no matter where or how far away it is from you, please go and watch it. Please go and watch this on the big screen. You will not be disappointed in the slightest, and it is well worth an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours drive to go and watch it. Now, a lot of people will instantly compare this to Annihilation, which was the Alex Garland film for Netflix. This is a superior product on every single level. And I know, people will go, what are you talking about, Mr. H? How? What? Alex Garland's fantastic for cinematography. And you'd be right, yeah, he is. But this, Richard Stanley has managed to craft something so beautiful on screen, yet so horrific, all at the same time. So let's kind of touch on who did what in terms of the full kind of cast and crew, because I think people will find this interesting. Obviously, Richard Stanley was the director, and the writing credits go to Scarlett Amaris, H.P. Lovecraft, but Richard Stanley actually did the screenplay initially, so it was then obviously adapted and pushed forward a little bit more by other people. So Richard Stanley is predominantly the adapter here, and he really is good. Now, in terms of the cinematography, we had Steve Annis, who did the cinematography in this film, and the photography work on this is truly amazing. So if you think about other things that Stephen Annis has done, he did I Am Mother, which again had some fantastic cinematography work. The photography work on that was so good, it looked like a much bigger budget movie than it was, considering that was made fully independently and then picked up by Netflix. He also did Every Breaking Wave and some Florence and the Machine videos, so he's quite known. Now, again, a lot of people will take a look at this and go, well, it's got Nicolas Cage in it, or they're trying to replicate Mandy because of the colours and the tone and things like that. This is from the producers of Mandy. It has nothing to do with Mandy in any way, shape or form. And again, it is a superior product to Mandy. Photography work on this film is utterly mind-blowing. The vivid colour scheme and the palette that they managed to bring out is just fantastic. Everything looks so beautiful on screen, and yet so horrifying. So, brief synopsis. Very, very brief synopsis. Yes, there is someone telling a story. Yes, there is family, Nicolas Cage's family, and yes, something does come down to Earth, which is on the trailer, which I'll be playing over this video anyway. And then obviously things happen. It is Lovecraft in every sense of the word. Now, for those that are new to the channel or are just tuning into this video, I have an extensive Lovecraft playlist above for Lovecraft, which I'll leave linked above. I'm a huge fan of Lovecraft, and I've often wondered, how would you adapt it for the big screen? This is how you adapt it. Truly, this is how you adapt it. It was done with just expert precision. You're bringing something with the utmost, the expert photography work on screen, and the ambiguous nature of cosmic horror is very hard to do. Annihilation did cosmic horror quite well. It's the fear of the unknown, the epic entity or struggle or what it is, how it's going around, what's its motives, these kind of things. And Color Out of Space managed to do that, but push it up a bit further. Because the problem is with the Color Out of Space, not the problem, but the other thing that you have to tackle with the Color Out of Space outside of cosmic horror of an entity is how the cosmic horror is affecting the place and the people around it. So in Annihilation, no one goes insane, right? But obviously, in the Color Out of Space, there is the element of the humans being affected by the color from out of space. And they managed to do that just so incredibly well. And Nicolas Cage gets a lot of bad rap for some of the projects he picks, but he was utilised to the best possible degree in this film. I've seen a lot of people saying and criticising Nicolas Cage's performance in this film based around the consistency in tone. Completely wrong criticism, and I'm happy to say that. Regardless of what you think of the subjective parts of this film, he has to be inconsistent with tone. Why? Because the entire movie is people going insane, having bouts of insanity, coming back to normality, having bouts of insanity, and they are going very up and down, bipolar, hysterical with it. So to have someone just a one-note character or a one-tone character is completely the wrong way to go. In fact, it would disengage you from the element of people going insane. So Nicolas Cage did a very, very good job, and he was actually probably the best possible pick for this film as a result of how he can convey wild, outlandish emotions. And he can. You know, it's no surprise to anyone. It's not a slight on him. He absolutely does convey wild emotions to a great possible degree. Now, everyone else is very, very good in this. Jolie Richardson put in a great performance, as did the children, Madeline Arthur, we had Julian Hilliard, Elliot Knight, Brendan Mayer. Everyone was very, very good. Even Tommy Chong was actually pretty damn good in this film. It didn't come across as remotely, hamming it up. It wasn't cheesy in any way, shape or form. It worked. It absolutely worked. The effects on this film are far and above what I thought they were going to be. I looked at the trailers and I thought to myself, well, look, it looks pretty good, but the effects may let it down. Again, no, it works. It really, really does work. And as we're progressing through, it's an interesting story because, and how they've put it on film. As you progress through this movie, you can see the insanity building and building and building and building. But it's an interesting opposition to that is the environment around them just becomes more and more beautiful. And it's very, very nice to see the polar opposites build and grow together. It's really, really, it's just an interesting way of doing it, and it works within the context of the story. Now, there are some little Easter eggs for Lovecraft fans. The daughter is called Lavinia. Again, if anyone knows anything about Lovecraft, that name will ring a bell straight away, and you will love the fact that they have included that name. Outside of that, really, the only other main part of this film would be the composition, the score, which is another character in the film unto itself. It's a very, very well-made score. It's a great, great work. And the music was all done by Colin Stetson. So, in terms of the other stuff that Colin Stetson has done, it's probably not an awful lot of stuff that you would be, completely aware of. He did Hereditary, which, yes, a fair amount of people did see. So he did the work on there. And I wouldn't say that it's reminiscent of Hereditary either, which is great. It goes to show that he's able to distinguish between the projects. And not only that, he also did some work on Red Dead Redemption 2. So again, well, far and above what you would consider to be in a horror movie. But he did it very, very well. Now again, the creature effects work on this film, because it's an alien entity. In the trailer you would have seen some bizarre things going on, was incredibly reminiscent to The Thing. In the best possible way. It didn't appear to be, it appeared more to be an homage than anything else. It didn't look to be trying to remake or replicate Thing-esque work. It took inspiration and paid homage and went forth and created its own thing. And I really liked it. The practical effects work on this film is great. Really, really, really good. More so than I was expecting. Again, because you think to this film, in terms of the budget that it must have had, which I can't actually find a clear-cut number for, but you think of the budget that this film would have had, and you think, well, it can't be... How have they managed to do this then? Because the effects work is great. And not only that, it's not just the practical effects work, but the CG work. There is a scene close to the end, which, if the CG work was any less, it would have come across utter garbage. But it was not. The CG work was just brilliant, and it fit the tone to a staggering degree. Now, there's a lot of Easter eggs to other Lovecraft properties and things like this. And it's such a shame that this movie did not get a wide release. You must go and watch this. Like I say, in the UK, it's being shown at Showcase Cinemas, I believe. Google it, check it out. It is well worth travelling for. Now, I will touch on spoilers in another review. I'll do basically an explained video, I guess, of the entire story. And round out my thoughts on the end and give a brief ending explained. That will be my spoiler review discussion, I guess you could say. But if you have seen this, please do go and check it out. When I do these things, people always ask, have you seen this, blah, blah, blah. Guys, I have a fairly large channel. I get sent screeners. I get invited to things. That's how. But I would massively encourage you guys to go and watch it. It's well worth the price of paying and travelling to go and see it, especially on the big screen, because the colours and the photography work is probably best displayed there, along with the sound design, which is absolutely brilliant. So anyway, guys, if you've seen it, let me know your thoughts. If you haven't seen it, I'd love to hear if you are going to, based off the back of this review. You can also get it on direct-to-video around the same time in February. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, if you are new here, do hit subscribe. Step to date on the world of pop culture, movie news, and movie reviews by hitting the bell notification icon. Thank you so much for watching, though, guys. I have been Mr. H. Take care.